Hello, people of the internet. Welcome to another episode of Englewood Camera Shop Talk. We're back again. Another day.
Another dollar.
Another planetary rotation.
Correct. Another sunset, sunrise.
Yes. We've done some. There was a moon set yesterday.
There was?
Yeah.
I didn't look.
Cool. It was very late at night. We were up watching Moana.
Yeah.
That was the first time I'd ever seen
you like Moana?
It was good. Yeah, it was really colorful.
Moana's a great movie. Parker in the house. What up, Parker?
Hey, Parker. Another Lightroom sesh.
Another Lightroom sesh. You know, we'll get to that, but Lightroom or Adobe released like 60-second snippet videos, tutorials on Lightroom on how to do certain things.
Well, that's good.
The fact that they're 60 seconds kind of makes me excited because people will actually like pay attention to them.
Well, yeah, and if we need to show somebody something in the store real quick.
It's true. You say this is how you should do it. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
But everyone who's got short attention spans or just wants to zoom through a YouTube video to figure out how to do what they're doing. He says, yeah, they're sick. I haven't checked them out. Parker has checked them out, though, I think. Sounds like it. Parker, first-time commenter here on Camera Shop Talk, if I remember correctly.
I'd be surprised. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't want to say yes or no because I feel like I've seen everybody's got a similar
face, like a profile image.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of
dark
grayish blue profile images.
That's true.
And I'm a visual person, so I remember pictures more than names.
We're talking. He's the Pawnee Storm Chasers, big Nikon guy.
Big Nikon guy.
He's not commented before, but we follow each other on Twitter. And so, welcome to the show, Parker. Hopefully, storm chasing season isn't, tearing you guys apart out there. I hear it's kind of a flop right now, like nothing's going on. That's what the rumor on the street is. There hasn't been a lot of stuff going on in Colorado.
There's been so many cool storms in the last week, at least right here.
Yeah,
right at the foothills. So
maybe they die when they get to the plains.
I suppose.
June, bro.
We're fast approaching June.
Yeah, I guess it hasn't even really started yet. So
we're just chugging through 2020, which I think we all want to do.
We're like, let's go. We're waiting for La Nina to establish a good flow. I'm familiar with La Nina. La Nina.
I'm not.
Sorry, La Nina, not Nina. Nina. But in Vegas, it's a big monsoon season. And so when moisture comes from California, then it brings all the good stuff.
I see.
So big flash floods really in general in Vegas. There's not like a single working gutter in Las Vegas or drain. It's La Nina, isn't it? It's not La Nina. It's Nina. That's what the little thing above the N is. Hey man, I studied Latin for so I should kind of know. It's kind of a derivative of Latin. But people are tuning in because they want to know about Webcam Wars. And this wasn't a thing because yesterday it was like, it wasn't a thing yesterday because only two camera companies were in the game, right? You had Sony. Sony? Was it Sony or not?
Oh, it was Canon and Fuji.
Canon and Fuji. And then Canon came back again today and dropped one for the Mac OS, the operating system. So now,
shots fired.
They're going back and forth, and it's we've had We've had megapixel wars, we've had ISO wars, and now we have the webcam wars. Webcam wars.
So does your 1DX work with your Mac now?
I don't know. To be honest, I didn't even click because it's not really something I'm interested in doing. But
I think on the next podcast you should show up
with like 135 from across the room.
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. I think you should do that.
Let me see what. My 1DX Mark II would work.
All you need is you tether, right? Is that the only connection you need?
Yeah. All you need is. I'll have to do some studying. But we've got the tether tool stuff at the store, so I can just plug in and go.
Parker says, how about that mirrorless and DSLR?
Oh yeah, a mirrorless and DSLR war that came, and it's still going on. The mirrorless war.
Dude,
So,
I mean, I'm always talking about the mirrorless DSLR war.
Right.
But anyways, there was another thing. Tamron, right?
Tamron teased a new lens. Supposedly, it's an ultra versatile zoom lens for Sony E-mount. And so we were going to do our best guesses of what that lens could be. I looked at the Petapixel article, so they had obviously some logical guesses, but I want to do some not logical guesses.
I haven't read anything, so I'm going to throw a complete shot in the dark guess out there.
Okay.
24 to 200.
Okay, I was going to say like a 28 to 300.
I hope it goes to 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would it go to 24 when their other lens goes to 28?
That's why, because
they need another zoom that goes.
Yeah, I had that 28-75 and I really, really liked it. Like the optical quality was great, the close focus distance was great, the size and weight was great. I like the build quality, I like the price. Everything was pretty good. The autofocus worked really well, but I just didn't really like that it only went to 28 instead of 24.
Right.
I think everybody's different on that. There's a lot of people that love that lens, and I took great pictures with it. Well, I thought, and I was like,
I'm proud of your photos. That's good. It's good to later, Parker. Thanks for jumping on. Good luck out there chasing those storms. Hopefully June is like what the cool kids say, lit. Did you see that? Did you see that coming, Mitch?
I kind of zoned out for
did you? Whenever I talk, you kind of just stop listening.
Yeah.
But the logical guesses were like a 24 to 105 or a 24 to 120.
Ooh, a 24 to 105, but a little bit more affordable than the Sony version would be spectacular, I think. But I just don't want to see it compromise on the wide end again.
Right.
That's
so give us the 24, Tamron.
Yeah, I want the. Well, I guess with the latest lens, they did 70 to 180, which means they didn't compromise on the wide end. But that's the one where I would have wished they
had gone all the way to 200.
Well, had compromised on the wide end on that one.
Right.
But I mean, who am I? I'm not a optics expert, so I don't really know the reason why they did or didn't. But I just feel like in terms of the theme of a lot of their lenses, it'd be nice to see one that goes the full range without a sacrifice. But
Michael Myers says, from a former Nikon shooter for 35 years, mirrorless is the only way to go.
Yep.
I had a kid on Twitter. I got tagged in Twitter today on a bunch of different threads because this one kid asked, like, he's like a budding sports photographer and he wanted to know what gear to get. And it's just a crazy question because there's so many options right now. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, this was a Canon heavy thread, right? And so a lot of people are like, you just get the 7D Mark II. And to be honest with you, that's my least favorite camera on earth. Like the 7D Mark II. Like it has focusing issues that I feel like Canon never like admitted it had. We've had like 3 or 4 of those come through the shop when we sold them new, when they were being sold new, and that just never focused. Even like I would shoot it outside at passing cars, and it was just one was in sharp and one was out of focus, and it was the same settings. It was just insane. Those customers ended up buying 5D Mark IVs, which is a great camera. I also think the 7D Mark II is kind of crappy in lights still. Like it's not the original 70D. You couldn't go past like 800 without just wrecking your photo.
Yeah, I mean, I get the. I get why you would suggest a 7D Mark II if you were part of that thread. It makes sense because of the price, the form factor, and the utilities you get. It's got like the dual card slots and the joystick, a big grip.
10 frames a second if you're shooting sports is cool.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I don't know. What did you suggest, or did you suggest anything?
I'd said you should just find a used 1DX, like a used 1DX for like $1,200 or $1,000. spend the extra money to get a workhorse of a camera. Or I said, if you really want to go crop sensor, you should just look at Nikon and get the D500 because that's a better camera than the 7D Mark.
Yeah, the D500 is a solid camera for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't mirrorless, and there are a lot of people pushing mirrorless too. And obviously, at his school, they use the A7 III.
That's the one I would have suggested.
Yeah, and so I think the A7 III is a great entry-level camera for a sports shooter. It still shoots, what, 6 frames a second?
Effectively. It says it technically does 10, but it's, a 7 or 8 effectively.
Yeah, and so if you have good light, you're shooting at fast shutter speeds. And then the only problem is Sony glasses is so expensive. Michael
says to learn your discipline.
It's true.
That is something that many people need to do. It's not good to rely on FPS, but it's also a fantastic tool if you can utilize it properly. So
right. The first thing I said when I was debating, because when I first started shooting sports, when I first started shooting at the Rockies, I had a 5D Mark III and an A7S. Mm-hmm. It was not a good combo to shoot sports. And so I sold my A7S and I got a 1DX. And then the AP photographer, his name is Jack Dempsey, super great shooter. He's been in Denver since the 90s shooting. And he goes, it doesn't matter if you have 14 frames a second, Kyle. He's all about, in baseball, at least, kind of watching the batter's hips. And if they're about to commit, then take a picture, Yeah. You don't need 500 frames a second to take a picture. Sorry, Michael, to bring up frames per second, but it's big in a college kid's mind.
If you think about it too much, or if you think about, if you just, your mind can drift from what's happening right in front of you when you're looking through the viewfinder very quickly to not paying attention to those little things, those little details when you're supposed to take a picture because you feel like you have this tool that will do it for you.
Right.
If you use that tool correctly in a situation where you physically couldn't do it, and examples of that would be maybe a bird taking off or something, and you're trying to get the wings in the perfect position.
Right.
But yeah, if you're paying, like your friend said, if you're paying attention to the hips of a batter or something like that, I think you lose that sort of attention to detail when you're relying on your frames per second, because you're like every pitch, I'm just gonna lay down on the trigger, and
for sure.
And if they get it, whatever. But
frames per second when someone's sliding headfirst into third base counts.
That's important. Yeah.
I want every frame to pick the best, because if I only took 4 frames, the umpire's legs are going to be in 3 of them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were mentioning the Sony 6000 series of stuff, and I just feel like that mount lacks lenses. Unless you went with a Tamron stuff. But
yeah, I think those cameras are still just like the 6000 series of cameras. They're really just if you want the best possible compact system.
Right.
But there's compromises for that small size. So if you're dedicated to traveling, I think that's one of the better ways to go. But it's also like, you're the cost of it.
Right. Exactly.
It's so close to what the full frame stuff is at some point. And if you're going to go with like the 6600 or something, which has the bigger battery in it, it just doesn't seem that capable. Even though it has all the tools, it's just kind of, it's still a travel camera. It's still kind of a hobbyist camera.
We were talking about like glass too. There's so much used Canon and Nikon glass out there.
Yeah, definitely.
For a good price, even if you're not getting the newest version. And we had a version 2 70-200 Canon in the case for like $1,100. It's a great deal.
Yeah.
And I still use that lens to this day. It's a workhorse, but like trying to find an affordable 70-200 Sony right now is just like, besides the Tamron one.
Yeah, the Tamron sort of filled that gap.
It did, but
that gap, man.
You always want length though, so.
Yeah, well, and you'd really, it depends on who you are if the 180 versus the 200 matters to you. I guess when I picked it up, Mark brought it in and I liked it, but I didn't do a side-by-side thing. I didn't like pick it up and shoot it next to a 200. So
yeah,
I can't really say if
Right.
it made a difference to me or not. So
I want Tamron to come out with like a 300 2.8
that'd be
for
fantastic.
Sony E-mount, and just
Yeah.
like I don't think Sony would let that happen. I think Sony would be like, nah, that's not allowed. But
Yeah, that's a tough one. I wish though. That'd be so great
sick.
if it was made, kind of like their little primes. Maybe it's an f4.
Yeah.
And it's just ultra.
A 300 f4, like that Nikon 300 f4, which is like my favorite lens in all of photography besides my 135.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that lens.
I know a lot of Canon shooters and Sony shooters that have legit thought about switching to Nikon just to shoot the 300 and the 500.
Yeah, and you put both of those lenses on the D500 and you're pretty good to go.
Yeah, so it would be sweet. So yeah, so I told that kid to buy a D500 or find a nice used like 1DX just for the build.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, yeah, because I don't think you can. I wouldn't want to dedicate shooting sports with like an EOS R yet. No. I know the USA Today guy shoots on a Z6 every once in a while. So
yeah, if you're like already established, you can take that risk. But to start out, it's probably not the best.
Right.
But
the first thing that I was told when I walked into the press room with my original A7S was that my gear was too small. And it was super funny. And then like 4 years later, everyone's shooting Sony.
Yeah.
But it took a second for the sports shooters to be convinced.
Yeah,
it actually works.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's perception. So
right. Yeah. They want to look. You want to look like you have big gear.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. And then what else were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about so a 24 to 105, or 24 to 120, and then I saw a thing on here. Oh, this was kind of cool. Someone's growing stuff, and you can grow plants in used film canisters.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that sick?
Yeah.
So, I don't have a green thumb. My girlfriend and I are both like killing the plants in our house right now. So.
Oh, that's one for the comment section. What weird piece of photography equipment would you grow
plants in?
Grow plants out of? Yeah.
You could like get rid of the mirror box
and pop it right out of the camera body.
Pop the mirror or like lock the mirror up in like one of those old Spotmatics.
Yeah.
It would be sick.
If you destroyed one of your lenses that was big enough, you just knock all the glass out and build it in there. And
there's a guy who uses 8x10s and 4x5 cameras and makes little worlds inside them with the bellows. And like it's perfect for those little tiny Christmas towns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does that, but he puts like little towns inside these like 4x5 cameras.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. They take those. I think they're for like train sets. The little people. I've seen some of those. Those are kind of cool. There was one that was like it was like going into a movie theater or something, and they cracked open the back of a film camera, and the light was spilling out of it, and there was like a line of little people trying to go in.
Right.
For like a movie, which is kind of cool.
What's a movie? What's a movie? Was that that's the Gulag, man.
That's the Gulag.
You can make a camera out of a film canister. I guess you could.
You could, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can make a camera out of a lot of crazy things.
A lot of stuff. Yeah.
It's just a dark box.
You can make a camera out of a beer can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We obsess over boxes with holes in them.
Yeah, you say that and it makes it sound like, it's pretty funny. So I think Jason's a first-time commenter too. We've got 2 or 3 first-time commenters on the show today.
We really appreciate you guys commenting.
Yes, thanks for watching.
Makes us feel like we're not
chatting to ourselves.
Yeah, speaking in a void.
Because if we wanted to just talk to ourselves, we'd be playing Call of Duty right now with headphones on,
Yeah.
Killing terrorists.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of a depressing thought if you're streaming or you're doing a live show and nobody's watching? Like, I almost like imagine in my head like an echo, like this.
Yeah.
It's just like a lone TV screen and like a vast hangar of just nothing.
Right.
Like
sometimes when I'm really needy, I just put the ticker down. Ask Mitch and Kyle. It's like, we need attention. But yeah, though this lives on later though, Mitch. So people watch it from the start later.
That's
I had
true.
someone who was like, Mike McKillop was telling me, one of our customers, that he's been like watching the entire like set of shows from the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a pretty healthy selection.
Well, thanks, Mike. That means a lot.
Yeah.
We're happy you do that, Mike. Glenn says I did. Well, hello, Glenn.
Hello, Glenn. We just talked about the future Tamron lens. Glenn, do you know anything about that lens? Possibly. Do you know what focal length it might be? Glenn says he did a live talk to a 300-seat room to 2 people. That sounds like one of those like stories of like the Who back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Queen. They play to a bar with like 4 people and then selling out. He does know, Mitch. He knows. Hey,
he might know, but is it only for his?
It's probably confidential.
Yeah, it's only for him. Only for him to know.
Glenn, say hot, cold, or warm, or ice cold.
Blink twice if it goes to 24.
And we're gonna say the focal lengths that we think this new Tamron for Sony is going to be. It's going to be very popular. All right, that's very.
Would me or Kyle buy it?
Yeah, would either of us buy it?
Us Prime users, would we buy a Zoom? I don't know. I always want a Zoom, but I just I use it. I'm like, I could have a Prime on.
I use a Zoom during like the first pitch.
No.
I use the Prime during the first pitch portion of the pregame at the Rockies because it's just like a grip and grin kind of thing,
Yeah.
So and it's like super versatile because I have to be at like 120.
Yeah. But I always tell everybody at the store when they come in that it's really easy to take those lenses off for a reason. There's never a perfect lens for any situation, really. So,
all right, Glenn, we're going to start guessing, and you're going to tell us whether we're hot or cold. Okay, here we go.
You go first.
Glenn, is it a 28 to 300 millimeter lens? Hot or cold?
I don't want that. I hope it's cold.
Cold.
Maybe if it was that and it came out with amazing reviews or something, had some twist.
For everyone watching, Glenn, who's in the comments, is a Tamron. Would you say ambassador? It's warm. I'm warm.
Would it be a little bit warmer if it went a little wider than 28, or is that getting cold?
Perfect.
I don't know, man. I just
you want it to be 24 bad, but I feel
I'm also picturing this thing like I know they want to keep it compact, so if it's this massive zoom range, I'm also picturing like 3 sections of extended barrels, and like kind of makes me uneasy. But
it's colder.
Oh shoot! Well, it sounds like I'm gonna get disappointed.
Mitch, they want to sell that 24 millimeter prime they put out, man. They don't want to give anyone a 24 millimeter focal length.
That's fine. Well, it's not like the zoom's gonna be a 2.8.
That's true. I mean, but the 24 is so small. You could have this lens that they're coming out with and the 24 if you wanted 24, or you could just go buy the 20.
Oh gosh.
Ah, man, I'm
having the gulag again. If it was a 28 to 400, I'd be all for it. But 300 is like.
He's gonna say he's not telling us anymore, but we got a little bit out of him. So
yeah, we got a little bit. I'm sure I'm sure some of that information's out there. We appreciate you playing the game, Glenn. That's to our thousands of viewers.
we could put this on Twitter. Be like, we chatted with a Tamron ambassador. We played hot and cold about the new lens. What do you think it might be? Well,
either way, I know it'll be lightweight, so that's probably why it'll be. In my opinion, I think that's why it would be popular. Is if it's lightweight. I think that's one of the things. That's my favorite thing about Tamron right now is how they're kind of keeping to that portable sort of philosophy, and some of the G Master stuff. Which the G Master stuff's gotten better, like that 20 millimeter. That's not a G Master, but the 20, the 24, and some of those things. Glenn says if they produced a 24 to 400, then everyone would complain about the lack of quality on there.
That's my favorite question from customers when they're about to buy like an 18 to 400.
Yeah, is it good?
They're like, so what's the downfall? There's got to be a downfall, right? I'm like, yeah, it's on both ends of the zoom. But it's
you know what? That lens actually,
it's a sweet lens.
I like it. I think it's good, especially if you're on a APS-C camera that's like short of a D500, right?
Yeah, like
I think I think most people would enjoy that lens, especially when I started out. I used an 18-200, and I'm really glad I did because I think it like kind of let me explore both ends of the range, and well, that is like a 28 equivalent, isn't it? 18.
Yeah, 18 is like a 24 equivalent. Yeah.
Jeez,
we sold a ton of those 18 to 400s right around the solar eclipse.
Yeah,
that was the peak. The solar eclipse was just crazy at the camera store, but we couldn't keep those 18 to 400s in stock, and like the filter size for them as well for the solar eclipse filters is crazy.
Glenn says he never understood the point of buying a small body and shoving a huge lens on it. You know, yeah, it's to an extent there was some reason to do that if you were, you know, right when Sony was coming out with some of their autofocus stuff like the eye autofocus, and you had some really fast prime on it that, you know, really took advantage of that, where it would have otherwise been pretty difficult to nail the eye.
Right.
It made sense for that kind of thing, but the whole, you know, comparing the quality of this smaller system to the larger DSLRs was only able to be done if you put those bigger lenses on it, which the larger DSLRs had, and at the end of the day, it was the same size. So, but things are getting a little better now. They're I think focusing more on that lower weight stuff. So
I've never seen really someone come back in with an 18400 and pixel peep the crap out of the photo they took.
Yeah, well, we try at the store to kind of get a good grasp of what their expectations are. Pretty honest about that, you know.
Yeah, I like that 300 on Olympus. It's a pretty big lens, but it's not too big. It still balances well. The 100 to 400 on the Fuji is a little much for me.
That's a pretty honking lens, man.
Yeah,
it's like
a heavy
size
lens.
as the GM Sony.
Yeah, and I put that thing on like an XT10. I tried to shoot I tried to shoot infrared with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't fast enough with the light, because the XT10 and infrared, the ISO, I just had to shoot at like 200. You know.
Oh my gosh.
So I was trying to shoot 800 ISO on infrared. It didn't look good.
Yeah.
But
there was I remember adapting, like there's a Panasonic, I forget the name, but it was like the size of a phone,
right?
But smaller still. It was like half the size of a phone, and it didn't have any grip on it or anything, and it was micro four thirds, and we put it on like a 600 millimeter, like a f4 Canon at the other camera store that I worked at. It was ridiculous. It was like, it was actually kind of cool though, because it was like a 1200 millimeter at that point.
Right.
Got the micro four thirds on it, but it was like a body cap on the back of the lens.
We had this 1000 millimeter K mount lens come through. Were you there when we had that? I don't think you were.
I was there for the 800.
Was it 800? No, was it? Let me look here real quick.
We had that 800 millimeter FD. It was a 5.6, and it had
a
really cool focus dial, as opposed to like a ring. The dial, I thought that was so cool. Actually, the guy that brought that in was a super cool guy. He was shooting all kinds of wildlife, and he brought all his pictures in.
Right.
I love when people bring their pictures in. But the that was cool. I threw that on the A9, and it was pretty awesome. But
let me see if I can find this photo. I know I put it on our Instagram a while ago. My goodness, it was a long time ago. There we go. Yeah, you weren't there. This is it was a Pentax 1000 millimeter f8. I'm going to share the screen so everyone can see. But I would have loved to like adapt this to like a micro four thirds lens or something. It would have been pretty crazy. Look at that thing.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
There's Chris. This is in 2016.
Oh, that was a good year.
214 weeks ago. There's no coronavirus. It's crazy.
That was my favorite year.
Yeah.
I'll go back to that year.
Yeah. me too. But
that's pretty cool looking.
Look at the bend in that thing. It was crazy. Probably should have had another tripod there. But
what's he holding for comparison? Do you know? Is it
that's the 150 to 600 Tamron.
Oh yeah, and that's a pretty big lens if you've ever.
Yeah.
If anybody's held that one, so
we got a K1000 on the back of that, and I think I was taking pictures of like the street corner down at Littleton Boulevard, and it was so far. So
sometimes I try to shoot that for lens calibrations, but the heat always gets in the way. Heat waves out there, and so you're like, that happens a lot when we're doing calibrations. I will pick something out as like my anchor for like trying to get the infinity sharp, and like halfway through the day, if I start in the morning and it takes me like 20 minutes to do it, and it gets a little bit hotter, than that thing that I was shooting all of a sudden now is useless because the sun rose a little bit, and now we've got heat waves, and I'm like, I can't use that anymore, and I got to start all over.
Jason was saying he has a Mark IV, and he wants to use an old manual 51.2. Do we have adapter suggestions? I don't think we might have FD to EF adapters in the shop. We could look for you tomorrow, Jason.
They exist. I haven't seen one in a little while.
Yeah, but if you went through the adapters the other day, because you sold someone an adapter to put a Nikon on the Canon. Yeah,
it was a Nikon on the Canon, and which actually looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
I did put it on a 1DX. So.
Right, but you used a nice piece of glass. This guy was using like an 18 to 200 or something.
Yeah, I know. I put like a nice 50 on there, but I think the 1DX though has a secret sauce to it. That the other cameras don't have. But
Jason, you should look into Photodiox.
Mm-hmm.
Photodiox makes an adapter for anything.
You know, the other one that's pretty decent. I use K&F Concept.
Okay, yeah.
I put a Nikon 135 on a Sony, and it's a pretty solid adapter. And I've got an FD adapter for the Sony too. And I know it's a mirrorless one, but that one is it's like, I don't know. Look for one that's more like one solid piece if you can, because if they're two pieces, they can get a little flimsy, or at least just make sure the screws are tight and stuff like that. All metal is good. If there's any plastic on it, it can kind of screw it up.
Oh man, Michael just opened a can of worms, man.
The GM 135 f1.4 has been suggested. Well, I think that's a 1.8 lens, but
we say yes.
Yeah, we both say. Well, I don't know if you hold back at all when you say yes, Kyle, but I don't hold back at all.
I don't hold back at all.
No. Didn't you, Mike? Did you just get an 85 with us? I thought you did, but that 135 is beautiful. That's my favorite Sony lens, if you're asking me. So.
That's my favorite lens in any mount, to be honest with you. I like it in K mount for film on Pentaxes. I like it. I've never used I like the Sigma on any body. I shot 135 art lens on my F5 and used Portra 400 and shot a baseball game with it. Loved that. It was awesome. 135 is my favorite focal length. I think it might be yours too.
It's definitely mine. All of my best pictures are with a 135. It's just I just don't have an autofocus 135, nor have I ever used an autofocus 135. Oh,
really? So it's awesome when you have a 130. I shot this Canadian Olympic athlete on Memorial Day up in Boulder with a 135 with the flat irons there. That was a little difficult because the flat irons are pretty big.
Yeah.
But you could still kind of tell they were the flat irons. But the compression was nice. So.
Yeah, how'd that shoot go, by the way?
It was great. It's on their here. It's on their Instagram today. Or I guess I could just share the photos. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael, you just, how is that 85 that I think you picked up the Sony 85 1.8, right? And that's a pretty sweet lens. I like that one a lot. There's a difference definitely between that and the 135, but I think I definitely flow between the two. Sometimes it's like, this is an 85 shot, and sometimes it's a 135 shot. You know, it depends on the environment you're in. But
so let me double click on this, and I'll share them. I don't own these photos anymore. They belong to Team Canada, but I think since I took them, I can share it. Pretty sure. Boom. Every photo I took for the Rockies, and it's owned by the Rockies, and we've still shared it. So I think this will work. Anyways, this is Lonnie. She is a only Canadian female to run the 10,000 meter and the marathon in one Olympic. That was back Olympics, and that was in Rio 2016. So she's also an attorney and a lawyer. And so
and a dog owner.
And this is her dog, Elle Woods, based on the Legally Blonde series. And so I got to hang out with her on Memorial Day weekend and take pictures for Team Canada. She came down to Canada, or she came down to Boulder to train because of higher elevation. And so it was cool. I wore a mask the entire time so everyone can chill out. Yeah, so we kind of just went through like what she does after running and whatnot. She loves her dog a lot. And she'll also do like live streams from this area. Oh, cool. So that's like the pole. I kind of wish I moved that pole, but I didn't really want to touch anything in the house. Then we went outside and she hung out with her dog on her porch. Did the dog in person foot photo. Then she stretches outside. The dog doesn't like when she stretches outside. It like barks and everything. So then we went to the Flatirons, took some pictures out there.
That's a good one.
This is with my Sigma 3514 art lens. This is with my 135. This is with my 135. I didn't do a lot of Photoshop or anything like that because they were going to run in like newspapers and stuff. So, but the good light came at the very end of the shoot. I brought my own lights. I brought my Godox AD600s. And they worked pretty well. The sky was kind of doo-doo the entire time. We had to reschedule. I was supposed to shoot on Sunday, but it was the most rain Boulder had all year, or like in a year, right? It was like 1.4 inches of rain.
Of course.
On the day I was supposed to take pictures of her running, and she was like, I'm down, and I'm like, but then we did some wide shots of her just running.
Plastic bags, man.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. It was a torrential downpour with lightning. I would have done it because it kind of would have looked kind of cool, but I just wanted some usable good light photos, you know.
Yeah.
And so I also asked to make sure if this was actually like, did she actually do trail running? Because she's a marathoner, so she probably runs like on streets,
on
pavements,
track or something.
Yeah, and she says she trains on dirt too. So I was like, I felt a lot better. So, and then the light came out at the end of the shoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was weird because I was trying to do some slow shutter drags. Yeah. At the end of the shoot, and the sun decided to come out, and so it just ruined my idea for like a creative photo.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so that was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it got published today on the Team Canada Olympic website. So awesome. Yeah.
Team Canada, shot in America.
Exactly. I think she's like an American lawyer, though. She like passed the bar in the United States. So
does she live here? Or does she kind of go?
No, she's from outside Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is what, Ontario. I don't know anything about Canada. Well. I just know Vancouver is British Columbia. Yeah, Michael, that Sony 8518 is just a low light killer. That thing is so sharp and so great for the price.
I'm glad you like that, Michael. He came in looking for the Sigma, which is also a really cool lens, but we didn't have it. So, right. But that 85 should be a little bit quicker to focus, which is,
and your entire body will thank you, especially like your wrists.
Your wrist will thank you.
Anyone who owns a Sigma 8518 should charge Sigma for carpal tunnel surgery later on in life.
To put it into perspective, the 85 1.4 Sigma for Sony is bigger than the 135 Sigma for Sony. That's a 1.8. So it's and heavier. So
heavier too. Yeah, but for 135, I say go for it. It's such a cool focal length.
Yeah. I definitely think the GM is a better pick than the Sigma version, though. As much as I love the look of Sigma, it's not as quick to focus, and when your lens is that long, your focus matters that much more. And I think that little edge that the Sony has, especially with the linear motors, it's also got a closer focusing distance too, by like a foot, I think, over the Sigma. So it's the Sigmas, they've got that cool. You say that they've got like a medium format look.
It's got like a medium format drop off.
They definitely have a really nice fall off. I love those lenses and the way they look straight out of the camera, but they can sometimes be a little bit slow to focus, especially those ones that are just adapted to mirrorless with the they basically just bolt on the extended mount to make it work on a mirrorless camera. But all the internals are meant to be used with a DSLR, and they're more mechanical inside than electronic. So focus is lightning fast on the A9. Well, yeah, that's it better be. The A9 is
you drop that money, you better have fast focus.
Yeah, the A9. I've never been let down by the autofocus on the A9.
It's true. I miss. Remember we went to shoot those dirt bikes with the A9s. That was my favorite YouTube shoot for sure.
That was so fun.
Oh, we should. I can't. We'll probably be able to go back out there. If anything says social distancing, it says dirt biking.
They're wearing masks all the time.
They're wearing masks all the time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, somebody came into the store wearing a biker helmet the other day.
That was Enrique. He works for Harley Davidson.
Oh yeah, cool.
Enrique's got like a dream job, man. He gets to like break in motorcycles for a living.
Oh my God.
While he does it, he takes photos of them. It's crazy.
That's a good gig.
He's got to like drive them for like 500 miles or something like that. He just goes on road trips with these bikes.
That's so cool.
What a job, man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, awesome. So we'll be back tomorrow with another episode. We'll figure out something to talk about, and maybe it'll be more technique related.
Yeah.
I'm tired of talking about gear. Are you tired of talking about gear?
Kind of. We could talk about techniques. What would we talk about, like long exposures?
Long exposures. I'm down.
We should talk about long exposures and maybe the science behind like shooting at like a wide open aperture when you're shooting Milky Way, but like everything's in focus.
We can talk about that.
What do we think about the analog wars? Less war than the Renaissance.
Analog
wars.
I don't know. I don't have a great opinion on it.
I mean, maybe I'm lost. Are you lost?
I'm a little lost. Are you talking like analog
back in the day, like analog
cameras versus like digital?
Renaissance. I don't know. Or maybe we're spelled that. Talk about analog. Oh, we could talk about analog. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean,
we could talk about. We should find like we had some film shooters come on, so, but we could talk about some analog. I'm not the perfect person to. Oh my God. Before we go, we have to talk about your salmon, dude.
No.
You said you ate. We were playing Call of Duty after you ate, and you said you were still hungry because you didn't eat what you made. Did you make it your way or did you make it my way?
I made it my way first. I had enough left over to make it your way, but I gave up because
it took too long.
No, I didn't. I forgot to flip it.
You forgot to flip it.
I just cooked one side and I ruined it. So, and then it was so well done on the other side. I mean, I cooked the one side perfectly.
Yeah.
And but then when I wanted to flip it because I cooked it perfectly, it all came off and everything was. It was a bad time. I had a bad time. I blotched it. Okay, I did a
the good thing is
poor job, but we had backup sushi that Hayden also didn't like, and we had.
Do you have anything else with mercury in it?
You ended up eating yesterday.
Mercury poisoning, man.
I remember what she ended up eating. I don't know. I think we had like
cod
leftover pizza or something.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. Sweet. Well, let's get out of here. We'll talk about long exposures tomorrow. And it's tomorrow Friday. Tomorrow's Friday. We're at the shop tomorrow, 9 until 3 p.m. So
Oh, speaking of it being Friday,
Yeah.
I wanted to give another shout out to the behind the scenes Mandalorian thing.
Okay.
If you watch the 3rd episode of it,
No one's watching.
This has to do with photography. The way they film that with the big LED screen, which is amazing. It'll blow your mind the way if you watch it. It's more about cinematography than it is about Star Wars, but you should give it a watch. It's pretty great.
Maybe I will. You have to give me your Disney Plus login if I forgot mine. I didn't pay for it. I was using my old roommates.
I'll find a way to give you the login.
Yeah, there we go. I think you can just share it no matter as many times as you want.
Maybe. Don't tell Disney that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, Disney. Cool. Let's get out of here. This has been Camera Shop Talk, Webcam Wars edition. You can check that part out at the beginning of the show because we haven't talked about webcams in at least 30 minutes.
Okay, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.